I have reached a 270 in raid, which means I have unlocked the free Void Legendary that is Visix. Hey you guys, it's Cece. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about Visix the Unbowed, and this is a champion that you actually get simply for logging in for at least 270 days. Then you will go ahead and grab her. As I said, she is a Void Legendary, which is awesome because anytime I can add another Void into my roster, we do love that. So first thing we need to do is actually go ahead and take a look at what she does. She is a part of the Dark Elves faction. She's also a defense type. Now, starting with her aura, it is ally defense in faction crypts by 37%, which I will actually have to go ahead and take a look at my Dark Elves and see kind of where she fits into there. But I can already tell that this is something that is going to be beneficial for myself when it comes to faction, because I don't think I have very many Dark Elves actually built, and the fact that she's a legendary is already going to be a good thing for me. Now, in terms of her actual skills, first skill attacks an enemy 2 times, and each hit has an 80% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%. I do love that this is actually on a skill 1, and keep in mind it is attacking an enemy twice, so you're gonna have that chance to actually decrease that turn meter on both of those hits. Fills this champion's turn meter equal to the amount the target loses. So if we actually manage to decrease them, we're pretty much increasing our own, which is also nice because a little bit of turn manipulation there. Second skill attacks all enemies. We do love a good AoE with a 75% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Also places a 50% champion protection or ally protection buff on all allies except this champ for 2 turns. Damage is based on defense, which she is a legendary defense type. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it is an AoE decreasing the speed. Always a good thing because the rest of my champs getting that little bit of an edge up. Also having the ally protection. When it comes to faction wars, that's definitely something I feel like I'm missing along the way, and I feel like I can already tell you in Dark Elves, definitely lacking that. Now, she does have the third skill here. Attacks all enemies, places a provoke debuff for a turn, places a shield buff on this champ equal to 20% of their max HP for 2 turns. I do love that it does provide a shield since you're going to be provoking anyway, and bringing that down, maybe if I book her to a 3-turn cooldown, at 4 turns for now, that's totally fine. But I'm pretty happy with the fact that there is going to be a decrease of a turn meter, kind of increasing your own. An AoE with decreasing speed is going to be huge, plus the ally protection. So the fact that we get this champion actually for free is something that's going to fit nice into my roster, and honestly, not just for faction wars, but I can definitely use her in other places as well. Let's actually go ahead and take a look at my Dark Elves to start with though. So going down into here, in terms of legendaries, she will be my only one. So yes, for that, that is already a good thing. Now, in terms of the epic, not to say I have any bad champs in here, but I have not built a single epic from Dark Elves. The only thing I have going for me in terms of the actual Dark Elves themselves is Cold Hearts. I do have those. Kyle, yes, have that built. I actually don't have Painkeeper really built, and she is one that obviously she's a good one. I will go ahead and build her. And I know some of those other ones can also be used. But yeah, honestly, you guys, I actually have not built any of these epics. So I do think this legendary is going to fit really, really nicely when it comes to my Dark Elves team. With the Cold Hearts, I actually do have 2 of them built. It would be perfect if this was actually open, and it's not, so I can't actually look at it. But Dark Elves, I am at 18 right now. So I definitely think she's a champ that's going to be someone that will be helpful in here for sure. And there's for sure other places that will be able to use her. So yeah, Faction Wars 4.7. And again, this being kind of a general rating because you can only go off this so much. But yeah, I definitely think there's a few places that you would be able to use her. And if you feel like you are lacking as well, like you don't have a ton of chance, maybe shards haven't gone your way, you haven't gotten a lot of legendaries, I actually think that she's pretty good considering. And anytime that they give us a free champ that is actually going to be useful and beneficial, it is definitely an actual win with her. So I think the next thing is actually figuring out what type of gear I want to put on her. So I am going to have to figure out what I've actually got, because at this point in the game, I kind of got to use what I have. And even if I want to put her on this amazing inset gear, probably don't have that. So we're going to work with whatever we've actually got. But this is where I want you guys to actually comment down below. Let me know what gear do you have on your Visix and where do you potentially use her. But I am curious to know kind of what are we putting on them? What gear are we actually wanting to go with here? Now, for now, I'll show you guys what I'm going to put on her and anything that's just going to really allow me to start using her kind of right away until I have more set gear that I think will suit her maybe even better than what I'm initially going to go with here. I do think when gearing a champ, part of something to consider is like, where are you going to use this champ? Is she a champion that I'm going to want to use in something like, as I mentioned, Faction Wars? But I don't specifically gear champs at this moment for Faction Wars. I'm not doing hard mode. I don't really have to worry about. Potentially Doom Tower is one place I would like to use her. Am I going to build her for like Hydra or Clan Boss? Not specifically. So I do think if that's something you're doing, you're like, I want to build her for, I'm going to say Hydra, for example, there's probably certain gear that you're actually going to want to gear towards and go towards. I'm not really worrying about that. I'm more, she's going to fit into my team. I'll probably for now use her in Doom Tower and use her for my Faction Wars. Again, normal, not hard mode. I am not there yet. So stats in terms of what I actually want to focus on for this champ, I definitely want her to have some accuracy. We're going to need that because I want her to actually land some of those debuffs, want to be able to land that decreased speed on there. I also want that potentially to provide the provoke on here as well, but I need her to be kind of protective. So I'm not going to be worrying about crit rate, crit damage. Instead, I want some accuracy. I want some speed on her, and I want her to have essentially survivability. So a few different options that I can go with in here. I could go with a Relentless, kind of to get the multiple turns there. Not necessarily a bad thing. I've got quite a bit of Relentless gear. Definitely an option. I could go for a stun because she does have an AoE, a little bit of crowd control in there. I am also thinking perception because I get that bit of the accuracy, a little bit of speed as well. Not a whole lot to work with in here. And then potentially speed. Again, kind of got to work with what we've got going on in here. What about Sav? I'm not going to put her on Savage. Doesn't make sense for me. I'm not really building her for damage. So that's going to be out of the question. But I think that's kind of a good place for me to try to start and maybe see what we can do. So first off, look into my perception. I'm going to have to see where I can actually find some speed boots because I think that's what I want to start with. Now, I decided to do a quick look through all of my gear, you guys. I tried speed and it's actually pretty funny. I have all of very, very little options in speed. It's a lot of crit rate. It's a lot of attack. And in terms of my chest plates, they're not looking too good. Needless to say, a lot of my speed sets don't actually have any speed on them or accuracy on them. I probably need to clean this up even further than I may have thought. Next, I tried to go into my Relentless, and it turns out if I'm looking at my Relentless, which for some reason I can never find when I go through here really quickly. Relentless, there it is. Going through my Relentless, I will just show you guys. In terms of my gauntlets, it's got some, but then when I got to the chest plate, it didn't go my way. And then when I got to the boots, it was even worse because I have no speed boots in here. So Relentless wasn't really working either. And lastly, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll look at what else I have. And it turns out I actually have some Bolster. So I think Bolster is really where I'm going to go right now because that's kind of where I've got stats in right now. And I'm not hating it. So Bolster, I'm going to get that 30% ally shield for 3 turns. So I am providing more of a shield in there. Also heals by 10% every turn. So again, something I'm not actually hating. So I think this is the set that I'm going to go with for now, which is going to be that combination of perception as well as Bolster as my secondary set. I'm gonna have to play around with this and see if this is something that I like on the champ, but I think that's the route I'm gonna go. I did go for speed boots and then going for HP on the gauntlets as well as the chest plate and trying to get both speed and accuracy across the other things, including the helmet, the shield, and the weapons. So I think this is where I'm gonna go with her. I'm pretty excited at least to be able to test her out, and I do think she will make quite a big difference for me with Faction Wars. As I showed you guys, she is the only legendary I have in there. I also do not actually have a epic build, and I know I didn't save that build, you guys. That's okay because I have an idea of where I actually want to go with it. Probably should have equipped it regardless. But yeah, so when I'm going into my vault and my reserve vault even and looking at my champs and my epics, probably maybe should build some of them for it, but I'm going to have to see. Regardless, I do think she will be a big help in here. And as I said with Bolster, I do have quite a few options like this for a helmet. I feel like is going to be pretty good. I'm getting 17 speed on here, 34 accuracy, 13% defense, and the attack is what it is. Not really looking for that, but I do think something like this is going to be perfect for her. And then moving into the shield, this is where I'm going to decide if this is the set I want to use with her with the perception or not. But I do have some pretty nice pieces in here that will also work for her. 16 speed, 10 accuracy. So this kind of shows you why I'm thinking I want to actually go in with the Bolster. Depending on where the rest of this is kind of going to upgrade and go, but I definitely have some options in here. And then I think I had speed boots down in here as well. So I have this speed. I also have these. Those tests don't really work as well. This one's not bad. I don't mind that resistance in there. I have the HP. Could also go for this one. It's giving me 20 accuracy. Not necessarily a bad thing. A little bit of a defense in there. And then going through onto the chest plate. This is the one I'm kind of playing around with. Could go for defense. I could also go for full accuracy. So I don't necessarily have an HP in here in the bolster. So something I'm thinking about. And then going onto the gauntlets, again, probably going to go towards that HP. I do have a little bit in there that I can maybe work with, or maybe I will go to the weapon and then kind of play around with my last 23 accuracy in here. So like I said, I think the combination that I am looking to do with her is going to be for sure the bolster. And then I'm thinking, oh, that's nice accuracy. She's really getting accuracy. So if I go with this with my bolster, then my perception I can kind of play around with as well down into here. Now my second set, if perception does not work out, because I think this is where I only had really attack. Yeah, see, attack. So might play around with this. So if I don't do perception, as I said, kind of play around between the two, then maybe, just maybe, I will either play around with the speed or even the accuracy. But I do think my main set, as I said, is going to be bolster on there, and then I will fit that secondary set onto her. And overall, I think that's going to work, and I think it's going to be a good build. If you download Raid Shadow Legends using my link, I'm actually going to start you off with the free legendary champion on day 1. And then at level 10, level 20, and level 30, you'll get yourself an epic. That is 4 amazing champions that you can get just by downloading using my link. I'm excited to be able to add another champion into my roster who is a legendary, and I think she's going to be helpful. But I want to hear from you guys. How did you guys build her? Comment down below and let me know. And be sure you guys subscribe, because I will take you along as I make my way into Faction Wars, and I'll let you know how she helps me out and where else I can potentially use her. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!